In this lecture, I'm going to talk about the differences that plant cells have versus animal cells. One major difference between an animal cell and a plant cell is a lysosome. Lysosomes are rarely found in plant cells. Enzymes that are usually found within a lysosome are found in the vacuole. Which leads me to my next thing, vacuoles. These are large, single structures found in plant cells. They can store nutrients or waste, depending on what they need to do. They help increase cell size during growth, cell growth. But probably their most important job is they regulate turgor pressure. Now you all know what turgor pressure is, even if you don't know the language behind it. Turgor pressure is when a cell collects water, and I'm talking about a plant cell, and it pushes the vacuole out. It expands it. It makes it as big as it can be, and it causes the plant to become rigid, or what you would consider a standing tall plant, something that is not slumped over. Now, the reverse of that, if the cell loses water, the vacuole shrinks and the plant wilts. And you've seen that before, and I will show you a picture of what I mean. If the vacuole is full, meaning the cell has taken in as much water as it can, or it's continued to take in that water, because water gets used fairly quickly within a plant, it causes that vacuole to expand and to expand until it causes the plant to stand just upright, tall, and proud, or it causes it to be rigid. If a cell is losing water, that vacuole will shrink and shrink and shrink, which causes the cell to whittle down a little bit. Cell wall's still there, but it causes the cell membrane to shrink, and which causes your plant to eventually wilt, and that's when it looks all sad and pathetic. Another organelle that plant cells have are cell walls. These are rigid, protective layer that surrounds the cell membrane. Plant cells have to put up with a lot more. The environment that they live in is a lot harsher than the environment that our cells are asked to live in, so they need that extra added protection, and that's where they get it from the cell wall. Cell wall is made of polysaccharides, which are mainly just mini sugars. Poly means many, saccharides is another word for sugar. Cell wall also helps the cell maintain its shape. So in turgor pressure, cell wall doesn't move. It stays the way it is. It's just that cell vacuole shrinks down and causes plant to wilt. Another difference, instead of having a mitochondria, plant cells have chloroplasts. And these capture the sun's energy to convert it into chemical energy. And we will talk all about this in your next unit. So you will learn this really, really, really well, because we will talk about photosynthesis. How does it do this? Chloroplasts contain chlorophyll, which is the green pigment. And we will talk about that when we get into Unit 3. Chloroplasts have a double membrane, just like a cell, and it contains its own DNA. Now, from this last little bit, contains its own DNA, I want you to think about something, because we talked about mitochondria. Mitochondria have their own DNA. Now I'm telling you chloroplasts have their own DNA. How? How do chloroplasts and mitochondria have their own unique DNA? So I want you to ponder this question. Why do mitochondria and chloroplasts have their own DNA separate from the cell it is in? Come up with an idea. Think about why this might have happened, what caused it, and we'll talk about it in class. So your lecture is nice, short, sweet, and to the point. I will see you guys in class.